Hi everyone, this is the NQ, the E-mini Nasdaq. I'm trading this in addition to the ES just because, I might as well. The ES has been a little bit slower lately and, it's not hard to flick between two charts. So I started trading at 8 Central Time, which is this area right here. We got the overnight high up here and the overnight low down here. These are our key levels for the day. And we push up here and that forms our overnight low. And we start to make a second leg up like that and we break this downtrend. Now when a downtrend gets a break, you can expect prices to attempt a new low. But in this case here, it just rocketed off. It just took off like crazy. Only got these small little corrections on the way up. So unfortunately, no clear way to get long on this entire move up. But we continue pushing up here. Now, when we find resistance here, I just want to mention, at first I had my overnight high right here. But when we found resistance right here twice in a row, very strong, to me, it's not a coincidence that it finds resistance that close to the overnight high. And so I figured that likely the overnight level is probably just a little bit lower. And so I moved it down to this swing right here because, the resistance was just so clear right there. And the overnight levels are not necessarily about the absolute high or low of the overnight. It's about where it's most consistent. And we have a bounce here, bounce there, clear resistance right there. So I just left the overnight high right there. And so anyway, uptrend, we get a break. Notice that we push up to a new high. It doesn't make it with the bodies, it only makes it with the wicks. Now a lot of times when it makes it with the wick, it'll just reverse on a smaller picture, but then, because wicks are smaller picture, bodies are bigger picture. And what I mean by that is, bodies, they're generally stronger levels. Like that's why you draw trend lines off of them. Notice I drew a trend line off the bodies here. And that's generally how you draw them. Notice how with this trend line, I drew it right off the body instead of drawing it off the wick. That's because, the bodies, you generally use the bodies for bigger picture structures, not the wicks. And so when it plays out just with the wick, but the bodies still haven't made a new high, it's likely that it's going to attempt a bigger picture new high and make a bigger picture attempt at a new high. And so, at this point, when this uptrend gets a break in a new high, if you get a good looking small picture entry for a short, then you can look for that as long as you have room. Of course, in this case here, you don't get that. We just push on lower here. But you see how you get these two legs down? And even though you have that new high, I just view this as a two-legged break. So it made the new high with just the wick. That's good to look for a small reversal, but I just view this as a two-legged break right here. And so I'll draw that out with the arrows really quick just for a visual. Let me just get that. So notice how uptrend, two-legged break, and then a couple attempts higher here, which it gets bigger picture. I'll go over it more here. So as we get these two legs down, price pushes up right here, and we get this, this first entry and then second entry. So first attempt higher, second attempt higher. It's forming a triple test off the overnight high, which is a major key level. So that's one thing. You get those two attempts, so it's a second entry. That's another thing. And also, you have plenty of room. So this is a great looking trade. You have this trend line right here. It's closing below it. This is a really great looking short right here. Now I just want to show that after it pushed lower here and bounced and then pushed back up, let me just delete these unclutter really quick, that this is also valid. So after, because it didn't reverse here, it could have easily reversed after those two pushes higher. It could have just been a nice two-legged break and then two attempts at a new high, and then it could have reversed. But since it ended up holding on this on this support right here, it ended up forming a bigger picture attempt at a new high. And so now, those two legs turn into one leg, and then you have these two legs higher. So you have uptrend, two-legged break, two attempts at a new high, and then right after that second attempt, it just plummeted on down and completely reversed right from that area. So, price action levels get bigger picture as more time goes on. So I'm not going to go over that too much right now. I'm going to move on, but I'm just saying those two legs, it formed a good second entry, but on a bigger picture, it was forming a bigger second entry before pushing on lower. So anyway, we push on lower here, and of course that, similar thing with the bodies right here. I drew that second arrow right off the body there. That's because those were the bigger picture attempts at a new high, and clearly it stemmed from right there. So anyway, we push on lower here, we get that strong push down, and I just want to say, sorry, I've been going on this area for quite a while now. I do like going short right here as long as you have room. I wouldn't want to just bet on it pushing out of that. I was not fully focused at this point, so I didn't take it. But, you know, considering it's that second major, you know, this, or I don't want to say major, but it's bigger picture than those first two attempts. I do like going short right there, but, you know, trading two charts and, you know, just getting out of this trade right here, I wasn't quite focused at that area. But I do think that looks good, and if you took that, then you're on track. We push lower here, very sharp move down. Now, this is a great place to look for a reversal pattern. We're pushing off the overnight high. That's a common reversal area. We're getting a strong push down. If we can get a good failed second entry, then we can enter short and get in on a second leg down like this. Now, right here, we do have, you know, technically a failed second entry. You can see from the top here to the tick, we have first entry long, second entry long, failure. Now, this is just, it's really borderline on, you know, it being small picture. Like, compare it to this down here. Notice that you have, starting from here, after those couple attempts to fade, we have a strong push down. We get this failed second entry, and look how separated those legs are. Now, I mainly want to focus on this area right here and this area right here. So this is, you know, this push down is just not nearly big, you know, it's not nearly big enough compared to this leg. Now, in this case over here, this push down is, you know, it's clearly connected to this push down here. Now, obviously, it's not as big as this first push down, but compare it to over here. This is absolutely tiny. So it really is, it was just a little bit too small picture. It's kind of borderline because you can still kind of see them pretty clearly, the legs and the separation of the legs, but it was just borderline too small picture. Now, of course, you're expecting a big leg. I'm not saying you're expecting a small, you know, just a scalp or something, but it didn't set up quite well enough. It's just not, it didn't set up well enough. The setup is just a little bit too small picture at the end there with those separations of the legs. So anyway, I hope that was a good comparison right there. Hope that helped you understand it. And so anyway, we push on lower here. Unfortunately, no shorts on the way down. We get those couple legs down, and we push through that overnight. Or, no, excuse me, I accidentally keep calling these measured moves overnight levels. So we push through this measured move right here. We pull back, retest it, get a second leg back. So we have a couple attempts to reverse here, but you know, it really is just one leg on a bigger picture, so I wouldn't want to just take this lower high right here. So push up, get this lower high. What could easily happen is it ticks lower right here and then forms a second leg up like this. You know, this is a measured move level. You know, two legs down and measured move, very common to reverse off measured moves. You have a strong push up right here. I wouldn't want to just take a, you know, I wouldn't want to just take this little lower high. You know, it's going sideways, it's choppy, it was just holding on that level. It's just not ideal, so I would avoid that. Anyway, push on lower here. We reach the overnight low, but we still have this measured move in play. So this big measured move is still in play, but we're being held up by the overnight low. Now, this oftentimes will be, you know, good enough to just reverse. Now, if it pushes above the EMA, then yeah, you absolutely want to look for a reversal pattern. It's about how the EMA reacts, about how this wider trend line reacts. If we had pushed above and gotten two clear legs back holding on the EMA, that would be very ideal because, you know, that would be a reversal pattern. And this is a great place for a reversal pattern. Again, off the overnight low, two major legs down. Even if the overnight low is barely not met, if you form a good reversal pattern, that doesn't matter. But we just don't get that here. You know, we just get this one leg up, push off here, no shorts here either because it's just a first entry. So we push on lower, and then we finally reach this measured move, and then we immediately start finding resistance at it, getting very choppy. And then at that point, it's just chopping between the overnight high, or excuse me, the overnight low and the measured move. And so it just gets very choppy in this area here. But I do want to show here that you do still clearly get two attempts to fade. You know, as soon as it reaches it, it gets choppy. That's very typical. We break out of this channel right here, and then after a push lower, we get two attempts to fade back in, and then after those two attempts, it fails. Now, it's small picture, but it's important to see this because the price action is still acting the same, even if it is on a smaller picture, and it's good to understand price action, big picture and small picture. And so anyway, after that attempt to fade, price plummets on down, first entry long, second entry long, failure, a clear failed second entry, and it's holding off of that previous measured move level. And this is a major measured move level, so for it to be reacting off of it like that is very good for a setup. If these act as good resistance levels, so you can use them as a key entry point basically. So it's good that that was off of it. Clear failed second entry, pushing below the EMA, closing below, expecting that second leg down, and yeah, I really like this trade right here a whole lot. So if you got in on that, you're really on the right track. This is a great looking trade right here. We push on lower here. We barely missed that measured move, which really, I just want to show this measured move is supposed to be starting from this swing right here, but I just had it right here as a visual for the failed second entry. And so anyway, I'm gonna remove this just so I can show the measured move. This is what I would usually do. Usually I don't draw off the whole thing when I'm on my own. But anyway, so we push on up here, barely reach that, or barely miss that measured move, almost reach it. Now we can absolutely get a reversal pattern in this area above the EMA, a failed second entry. You wouldn't want to enter right into that because it's proven to be a strong level, but if you can get something with room to that, then that would be great. But in this case here, we just push up. It starts to get very choppy here. We start barely getting back into the overnight level, but it really just stays choppy. We push off here. This would be a great place for another failed second entry. You just retested the overnight low. If you push off and price proves that it wants to break out and you get a failed second entry, that'd be great. A nice push down and then a couple legs back, looking to get short on the second leg down would be great. But, in this case here, it just pushes on down and suddenly pushes on up. Looks like it's forming some support right here. It looks like we've got some kind of range forming now. So, we'll see what happens with this. We'll see how it holds. From here, it looks like it's getting bigger picture attempts to fade, kind of like how at first you had those 2 attempts to fade before plummeting. Now you got these 2 legs down. You can easily get 2 bigger picture attempts to fade. So we'll see what happens. We're at the overnight low again right now. So, even with these 2 legs, we can just push off, make a nice failed second entry. Could easily push into that, considering these 2 legs, retesting the overnight low right there. But we'll see what happens. Obviously, if it pushed up and did reach the overnight, if it pushed up and did reach this measured move right here, it could do the same thing, forming another failed second entry. But anyway, that's going to do it for this video. I hope it helped out in some way, and thanks for watching. I'll see y'all next time.